It's Jordan Mulligan from the Mulliganbrothers, and today's interview highlight is about leaving a legacy with our good friend Adam Ocean Walker. Today's video is sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now buy the Inspire Change t-shirts and the new Not a Journal, all linked down below, which helps support all of this. And also please consider becoming a channel member with the join button down below. Before that, let's jump into the highlights.
Grew up in Nottingham, and I've always been interested in sports. I played a lot of cricket, any sport really, but I guess I played more cricket than anything else. As a kid, I used to race 50 metres backstroke, so it was always backstroke, it was never front crawl, which is what I've obviously done for the ocean swimming. So there was never any long distance in me, and there was never any, it was all about sprinting on my back. I played rugby, but the sport thing was always there. I always wanted to be a professional. That was the dream in something. But I always got injured with something. I had my first operation at 13 on my right knee, had a dislocation on my left knee at 16, another dislocation at 18. And I really felt when I was younger it was going to be the story of, oh, could this guy have been something? And I go down like many other people that, you know, could have been this, could have been that, but injury took me over, and I remember thinking I don't want to be remembered for, well, I could have been this professional athlete, and it never happened. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody wants to have a marker down in their life. Everybody wants to achieve something. I think that's why we're on the planet for, not just to exist. And it depends on your makeup. For me, I've always been very competitive as a kid. My dad always used to say, give it everything, son, give everything, don't give up, don't give up. And he was ringing through my head actually when I did the training for the ocean swimming. He was giving me motivation. I could hear him as a kid. And I remember when I used to swim backstroke and I was 10 years old, and I'd come in and I'd tell him if I'd won or if I'd come second. I didn't want to tell him I'd come second because I wanted to be a winner, and my dad was all about succeeding and winning, and he was in a high-powered sales job. So kind of he brought us up to give it everything and succeed, and do your best at least to succeed. So that was always been embedded inside me. And as I say, from ever since I can remember, I remember being at school looking out the window in all these subjects which maybe I wasn't so interested in, thinking, when do I go outside and play rugby? When do I do athletics, or something involving sport? So that was always inside me, that sport aspect. I wasn't really interested in too many other things, and that's why I guess I went on to do a sports science degree. But the dream was to do it as a profession, and I felt after the injuries maybe that was going to happen, but I didn't want to let that go in my mind. There was nothing actually in my childhood that said this guy is going to be a long distance swimmer. In fact, I was all about sprinting. I didn't really train much as a kid in pool swimming. I sort of winged it a little bit, so I just kind of turned up, had good speed, and did my 50 metres backstroke. I didn't even do 100 metres backstroke because that was seen as long distance to me. I certainly wouldn't do 208 lengths. That was really long distance. So it was a little bit of, later on, what you weren't good at. See if you can master what you weren't good at, because there was nothing there that said that I could be this swimmer. And I think that's important for a lot of people actually, because you don't know what you're going to be great at until you get that moment, and work at something as well, because a lot of people say, I couldn't do what you do. How do you know? If you want it enough, maybe you can. I remember being 14, 15 years of age, getting injured, so I couldn't play rugby for the school anymore. So I went back into swimming. I'd swim up and down. No one really cared about swimming at school. It was one of those sports that if you don't do sport and you have to, oh, let's go and swim. So it wasn't like it is in other countries like America and Australia. No one really bothered about it. And of course, as a kid, you want people to be interested in what you're doing. So every time I then rehabilitated and probably didn't fully rehabilitate, I would then go back into rugby, forget the swimming, and it went on and off like this. It's funny now, people say, oh, Adam Walker, Ocean Walker, a born ocean swimmer. Not at all. It was a moment that I watched a film and I went, and actually the moment in the film, I can tell you, when he loses his job, his friends take him on a drinking cruise to France, and he's on the ferry, and he leans over and he says to his friends, how mad would you have to be to swim this? And they all look at him and go, totally, why would you ever do that? And this moment in the film, and it all goes slow-mo, and he's staring out to France, and I put my earpiece down to the person next to me, and I said, I'm going to swim the English Channel. And they said, what are you talking about? I went, I'm going to swim the English Channel. And from that day, I made a deal with myself. Whenever I say I'm going to do something, I have to complete it. That's the deal with myself. So it went on from there. I then had to look what it was all about, research on the internet. Everything was trying to put you off, saying you have to swim 80k a week, you have to basically train like an Olympian, constantly training, getting the stamina up, get your mindset right, and it cost quite a lot of money, but nothing put me off. I was fixated on it, and I was actually going to Australia, and when I got back from Australia I thought, it's still in my mind. I just kept thinking about it. And it's funny how you get ideas in life, maybe for that second or 5 minutes or even a day, but you don't pursue it. And this consumed me for some reason, this light bulb moment of Frank, the fictional character Frank, looking and saying, how mad would you have to be to swim this? And I'm going, yeah, you'd have to be pretty mad. Let's do it. I think it's easy in life to say, I'm going to buy a big house, or I'm going to do this, do that, and have all these ideas. It's often, we can say anything common. I'm going to be a millionaire, or I'm going to marry that girl that I spoke to, or whatever it is. You're always saying things or thinking things. For me, by making that deal, and I think at that point in my life, it was like, okay, let's not mess about with what we're going to do. I've done various jobs. I went from job to job, really, I guess, because it wasn't completely in my heart and soul, the job. But you need to earn money, and sales was in the family, and all those aspects. So that's why I did the jobs that I did. But at this point in time, when I watched that movie, I thought, no, I've got to find something pretty big for my head, like something to really stretch to, and I've got to say yes to it. And because it was so epic, I thought it was a real cop-out if I said I'm going to do it and I didn't do it. Everyone can say I'm going to swim the English Channel, I'm going to swim around the world, or I'm going to run around the world, or just words, aren't they? The hardest thing is committing to it. And actually the toughest thing at the time was when I booked it, because then I had to rise to it. I didn't know how capable I was. I'd never swum outside apart from on holiday in the sea. So I didn't know that I was capable. I didn't know whether I'd be good enough with the temperature, because there's rules. You have to wear swim trunks only, no wetsuit. You're against the elements. So I didn't know whether I was going to be capable of that. I thought maybe I could train myself to swim a long way, but how long's a long way? All day, when I didn't go past 50 meters when I was a kid. And I'm getting my 20s, and people think you're a little bit old. Am I going to be fit enough to do this? I haven't trained for 8 years, remember? The first time I jumped in the pool, I swam for 45 minutes, coughed and spluttered, rolled myself on the side, and thought, this is a bit of a joke. How am I ever going to swim 21 miles if I can't do 40 minutes without nearly being sick? And then that stubbornness said no. I made a deal, I've got to carry on. So went the next day, and then did 3 sessions that week, and then I was in the system. The structure was there. It's like anything, isn't it? When you go to the gym, you start the gym off, you have good intentions, and then you miss it a couple of times, and a lot of people then stop doing it, or they eat rubbish, and then they get in bad habits. So it was about having structure, being disciplined. That was why I said I've got to do it, and I've tried to stick to that with everything that I do now.
Adam Ocean Walker has had an absolutely tremendous story of overcoming so many different things, and this one for me was one of my favorite highlights from Adam. So many lessons about not bending into the thing that's thrown at you, and working against the grain. And it's going to be tough, the journey's going to be difficult. That's how it's supposed to be. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So yeah, one of my favorite things. Go follow Adam on social medias as well, dear friend of the channel. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please head over to Mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now buy the Mulligan Brothers t-shirts, the Inspire Change t-shirts, Hardest Worker in the Room t-shirts, and the new Not a Journal, link down below. It helps support this and keep this going. And also, please consider becoming a YouTube member with the join button down below for extra membership perks. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @Jordan Mulligan Brother to see what I get up to on a day-to-day basis. But thank you very much for watching. Go inspire some change today, guys, whether it's through your actions, through your career, through your passion. Just go express yourself passionately and do what you love to do, and it will inspire change around the world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.